Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Life with Nada Manning, the late night talk show. And there she is, right there. How are you?
Ah,
She
good
was
evening, good evening.
she was in the phone booth, like who was that used to go in the phone booth and dress out? That was Superman. That was
Oh,
Superman. In this case, it would be Superwoman.
good
Well, I'll
evening.
finish the greeting part. This is WBISLP 106.9, ladies and gentlemen. You can find us here live in the studio over the air at 106.9 FM, and you can also listen to us at www.wbisawesomeradio.org. That's 24/7. So if you go there, find the little media player, click play, and you can listen to the show, and of course on GPAT 23, and as well on Facebook. So without further delay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to commence the broadcast as usual, introducing your host of the show today, tonight or this morning, Miss Nada Manning.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. What an awesome introduction. It's a pleasure to be here with you all this evening. Hello, everybody. I'm glad you were able to join us. I'd like for you to sit back and relax and enjoy yourself this morning as you listen to the message for tonight. Have some tea, some coffee, some cocoa. Just sit back and relax. And again, I say welcome also. Yes, we are live. I am your host. We're going to do a little bit different tonight, just a tad bit. And that is, I want to mention a survey first before we get started. I'd like for you all to do a survey um, that will be due tonight or next Wednesday when we get back on the air. And this is a very short, brief survey. It's 3 questions, and you can respond by saying, on a scale of 1 to 5, and 1 to 5 being one being poor or 5 being excellent, and all that's in between. I'm also asking you to do um, the 3 questions, which is what you think about the Life Talk show. What subjects would you like for me to talk about pertaining to real life? And what would you like to see or hear different on the show? I welcome your ideas and your thoughts. Um, I'd like to hear from you, like I said, with more interaction. What I'm saying I would like to hear personally is more interaction from you all, like uh, we are face to face in a living room setting, holding a conversation uh, about life, talking about life. So let's talk real life is what the subject will be on, which is the name of the show. And I will mention this again towards the end of the show for you to do this survey and tell us what you think. How do you think? Rating the show. Again, my name is Nada Manning, and tonight we're going to talk about um, if we breathe, we've struggled. If we've, not if, but we are breathing. But the subject is if we breathe, which we are breathing, we've struggled, period. And in saying that, I have 3 topics, and that is looking ahead, less delight in weakness, the sun will shine again. And then we have our struggles that we are to be used by. We are going to be used with the struggles that we experience. So again, that's looking ahead. Let's delight in weakness because the sun will shine again. And then we have our struggles that we are to be used. Our struggles are to be used. The first one is looking ahead. And I say looking ahead, meaning as we go through our challenges and our struggles in life, it makes us want to look down or look back. And that's what we want to avoid. The objective is to look ahead. Look ahead, not forgetting what was behind, but focus on what's ahead. Now that we have passed whatever it was, or we still may be going through it. Some of us are still going through right now. But we want to look ahead to see what is going to be good for us. The worst thing we can do is look down. We want to stay focused forward. What's out there? Now that all this stuff is behind us, or we're going through this right now, when I get out of this mess, and I will get out of this mess because the sun will shine again. What's up there? So we focus on that. We can imagine in our minds what we would like to have with the Lord's help. Because again, as I say every week, we cannot walk this path alone. We have to have some higher power that can carry us through most of these things in order to be successful. If we breathe, we've struggled. So today we are all breathing, which means there was a path for us getting to where we are today at this moment. Those hard times. The entire human race has been in or still is in this particular era, ERA. It's common among the entire human race. Trials and hardships have occurred in our lives, and we found ourselves doing anything in our power to get out of it, to include begging God to get us out of this mess. Please, Lord, let me get out of this mess. Help me to get out of this mess. And some of us go as far as saying, Lord, if you help me get out of this mess, I will do such and such a thing. I will do this, I will do that. And there's nothing wrong with that, except we need to say to ourselves, with your help, Lord, when I get out of this, with your help, I'd like to do thus and so, which I hope that thus and so is following his lead, not going our own way, because going our own way most likely got us in the mess that we were in the first place. Doing it our way. Remember also, I'm always saying, because we grown and we can make our own decisions. Well, many times, most of the times when we call ourselves being grown, me too, we find ourselves in a pickle. And that pickle gets us all wound up in a web, and we just fighting and struggling and trying to pull and tug and trying to get out of that mess that many times we created. Not all the time, but many times we created. So what we want to do tonight is talk about looking ahead of all of that, looking past that. Even while we're in that mess, while we're in that web, our mind can still be focusing on how and what we can do when we get out of this. What can we do differently? And that's your time while you're in that mess. I call it sometimes it's a valley. That's the time when you can focus on what you want to do differently with the Lord's help. What you want to do differently. Think about what you did to cause yourself to get in it, and then focus on not doing that again. because that didn't work. Sometimes we say to one another when we have our ideas going out there talking to whomever we're talking to, and they'll ask us, so now that you did all of that, how did that work out for you? Right. It didn't. It didn't work out. So you want to do something a little bit differently. So we want to talk about um, whether or not, let's see, do we always recover from those things? My response is no, not always. It's a process. Some of us are still recovering from the mess because it was a big mess. But as we recover, we keep telling ourselves the sun will shine again. That means it's going to get better. It's going to be a brighter day one day. And believe it or not, folks, the longer we stay in a mess, whatever that mess is, the more focused the Lord is allowing us to be. He's molding our brain, our mind, soul, and spirit while we're in that mess. And He's gradually, and some of you can relate, you see a little bit of the tunnel, light through there, just a little bit. It's not totally black, totally dark. You see a little bit here. And sometimes when He feels like we're slipping, He'll bring that darkness back. When we see that light over there, all of a sudden it becomes black again. Wait a minute. Hold up. I did something wrong. So we have to step back and realize, no, what you was getting ready to do or what you was thinking about doing, no, that's not it. So that puts a little step in front of us, a little block in front of us to keep us from moving forward. So it's a gradual thing. And it depends on the person, and it depends on what that mess is. Some messes are bigger and take longer to get out of because it takes the Lord longer. He wants to take longer to mold us to not get in that mess again or anything close to it. So there's a reason for the madness, people. There is a reason for it. And while we are in our mess, it gives us plenty of time to think about it. Prime example. Let's do this scenario about, let's say, someone in prison. Okay, they're in prison and they're going to have time to think about what happened. What was their role in that mess, whatever that was? Some of them in there, yes, some of them are in there really are innocent. They really didn't do anything. But there was no proof to prove their innocence. So now they're in there, some of them with attitudes and all kind of mood swings, and I don't have to be in here, I shouldn't be in here, and all of this. But there's a reason why you're in there, even if you're innocent. The Lord is molding you. He is molding you to where He wants you to be. He wants you to be a certain kind of person when you get out of there. And if that's a long-term sentence for years, then you have people in there that He can use you. Remember, folks, and I keep saying this, we even though there are times that we cause our mess to happen, during that mess that we have caused, the Lord can still use us if we have our mind set on being used. That's what He wants to do. No matter what, He can still use us, and nothing is too big. So if we keep our mind focused on that, wherever we are, in prison, out of prison, out of the country, in the country, you're always around people where the God that we serve can use you. And that's what He wants to do. And that's why He wants us to stay focused and stay positive in spite of the situation. And I know that's easier said than done. Yeah. You can say that, Miss Manning, but you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what it's like. No, I don't know what everybody's story is like, but I know what mine is like. And no, don't get it twisted. I have never been to prison. I'm just using that as an example. because it is a period where we are closed in and we can't get out and do what we want to do. I use that as a scenario because it's a good way to make us think when we can't get out. I can use a more down to earth. Well, prison is down to earth, but let's use a more common term like and I say this every now and then, not every week, but I'm talking about COVID right now. We all are experiencing these different seasons of COVID. As soon as we get, one under control, then another episode comes up. Well, there's a reason for all of these episodes because some of us are not getting it. Some of us are still secluded, don't want to come out. So we're kind of isolating ourselves because we don't want to get caught up in the mess out there. Well, while we are enclosed in our homes, then we have an opportunity to pray more and to look to Him more. Because we don't want to get out there and get caught up in that. Because we don't know what the outcome is going to be. Now, that's real. We're talking real life here. We're talking real life issues. Prison is real and it's current. COVID is definitely real and most current. And some of us as young people, teenagers or preteens, we get ourselves in trouble with our parents. And we are put on punishment because we have said or done something that we shouldn't have done, and our parents or our guardian or our grandparents, whomever it is not pleased with what we've gotten ourselves into. So we begin to be under a punishment from them. It could be a day, it could be 2-3 days, it could be a week. Whatever that punishment is, you have been put in a position where you need to be, I don't know if I want to say chastised, but you want to, it need to be brought to your attention that whatever you said or did with whomever, that it was not acceptable. And they don't want to accept your behavior. Same thing with prison. Society, the judges and the courts don't want to accept the behavior of that person. So because of your misbehavior, you're getting punished for it. So it's the same scenario. And I hope I'm making myself more and more clear here that there are different scenarios where the Lord wants to use us in our closed environment, or go to school and come straight home. You're not completely in a closed environment because they want you to go to school, but you come back here as soon as school is out. No visiting your buddies, none of that. No games, none of that. Come straight home. So all of that is a form of punishment, but that is to get you to your mind to be on doing what the right thing is. And that's what the Lord does for us. He goes about it in a million different ways of punishing us. Some of it is lifetime punishment. Yeah, there's a lifetime punishment. There's a lesson to be learned through that process as well. So let's move on to some more scenarios. We're still talking real life here. We're talking about the fact that if we are breathing, we're going to struggle, period. We're on the air. We're live on the air. I'm your host, Nada Manning, on Let's Talk Real Life Show. Let's call in then to 252-756-2008 with your comments or your concerns, or you can go online to your Facebook page and write your comments there. We're going to move on now to some more scenarios. And I say this, there is much that God wants to do in and through us during the trials we face, which is what I was just sharing with you. He just wants us to trust Him, and that's hard for some of us to do because we want to do it quickly. Many times, you're taking too long, Lord. I let me help you. Well, how many of us know He don't need any help? And when we help, that's when we get in a mess again. There are times in life when that's all we can do is trust Him, and that's what He wants us to do in the first place, right? He just says that all day. Just trust me. Just give it to me. Okay, Lord, here, you take it. I'm done. I can't do nothing else with this. I made a mess of it. I made a mess. And only you can fix it. So I'm going to trust you to handle it, take care of it. We tried talking about things. We tried convincing others in discussions, all kinds of strategies to get it done, to do it right. We prayed about it. It's still not working. We did all that. Spent quality time with doing these things, activities to help clear up the mind, all of that kind of stuff. We just wanted to be clear of all of the mess. And some of us get so frustrated with our mess. We get just bent out of shape about it. And again, it depends on what it is and who it is that we're talking about, because all of us have our different levels of strength. We have different levels of strength. Um, and you will find that I will keep saying the sun will shine again if we don't give up. Let's not give up. Let's not give up. Because as long as we're breathing, we're going to be struggling with something. But guess what? The struggle gets lighter if we just learn from our last struggle. Now, I'm not telling you you're not going to struggle now after you get over this one struggle. That's not going to happen. There's going to be some more. As long as you're breathing, as long as we are breathing, we are going to struggle with something. Some of the struggles are lighter than others. Some of the struggles will be just a breeze to go right on through it. And what we need to do is recognize when it's a breeze like that, that means we have grown. Don't necessarily mean that that struggle is much lighter or any less or any shorter or any smaller than the previous struggle. Not necessarily. It could be, but not necessarily. So what you want to do is look at it this way. I have grown from my last struggle to the point where this struggle right here is much easier to handle. Why is that? Because you have learned from your last struggle. You have learned from that last mess that you were in to walk lightly to avoid the next mess as much as possible. That's the key here. Remember where you were. When you want to look back, remember where you were as a joy that you have gotten out of that mess. Not with revenge, not with hatred, not with any malice in your heart. As you look back, you made it through it. So you thank the Lord that you made it through that. Because if you're going to go forward with an attitude or hatred or bitterness in your heart, guess what's going to happen? That next struggle that you will definitely get in, we will definitely get in another one. Then what did we learn from that last struggle? Because you can't move forward if you keep looking back. It's impossible. Again, you want to look forward. You remember the struggles you had, but you don't want those struggles to hinder you from making the best decision as you move forward. And to make that good decision, that better decision, your mind and your brain have to be clear of all hatred and bitterness, because that will not help you to succeed as you move forward. As a matter of fact, it most likely, and some of us are experiencing that, we just go in a vicious circle, round and around and around. It's like going in a if you think you're going forward, driving along, and you get lost, and you find yourself going in a circle, a big circle, but then you look to the left or to the right, or even in the back, or even in front of you and say, I thought I passed this already. Didn't I come down this street already? You did. You did. But you didn't go in the right direction because you kept thinking with your mind back on what was back then. And you're not focusing on where you're going. That's how you're getting lost. LOST. That's how you get lost. You get lost in the struggle because you're not focusing on where you're supposed to be going. So leave whatever that is. Don't let it fog your memory and your thoughts. Amen. Amen. And some of us, we spend some time after we prayed about and spend quality time doing things, activities to help clear our mind. How about this as a way of clearing your mind? Once you've gotten out of that mess, how about sharing your mess by telling it, telling your story? It's important. Guarantee you somebody who's listening can relate to your story. Guarantee somebody can relate to your story. And you don't know who that person is. You probably won't ever know who that person is. But share a testimony or two or three once you get out of your mess or as you're coming out of it. Because you know what? Believe it or not, you're not only helping them, you're helping yourself by talking about it. Whatever it was. You're helping yourself by talking about it as they listen to you. And that's all good. It is nothing wrong with that. Because the Lord knows your heart as you telling your story, and He knows their hearts as they're listening to your story. He controls all of us. I don't care how long they sit there with their lip hanging out, mouth poked out, rolling eyes, all mad and puffed up, while they're supposed to be listening to you. The Lord is in control of all of that. Because guess what? He can make them listen one way or the other, whether they want to or not, because He knows they need to hear your story. He's giving you the bravery. He's giving you the forthwith to move forward and talk about your story. That takes some special effort right there to put your stuff out there. So for you to take that initiative to want to talk about your story, whatever it is you went through, the Lord is pleased with that because that's what He wants us to do. We have to reach out there. And you're reaching out by telling your story. So yeah, He's going to make sure those listeners hear what you have to say. Because you know what you're talking about. You meaning me, whomever it is. We who are telling our story, we know what we're talking about because we have lived it. We know. We're not making it up. And they can see it as you're watching me now, right here on this Facebook. You can see my face. You can hear my voice. You can hear the sincerity that I'm telling you. And it's nothing but facts. I'm not making it up. So it behooves you and me to tell our story. And that's a process. You might think your story is small or insignificant, but you made it through it though. You might think, don't nobody care? Well, you won't know if you don't say anything. But guess what? The Lord always cares because He's always with you to help you through it. You didn't get through it by yourself. And I'm here to tell you, I didn't make it through by myself. So keep all of that in mind. You are sitting there with this, and they're looking at us. You all are looking at me as if to say, now, she don't look like she's been through nothing. I don't know what she's talking about. You just don't know. We don't supposed to wear what we've been through on our shoulders. And we cannot do that on our own. We can't do it on our own. We take a higher power. It takes a higher power to make us tell our story, especially if it's been devastating, life-changing. I'm talking real life here. Let's talk real life. I'm your host, Nada Manning, on Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. Let's talk real life. And these are factual things that I'm bringing up to you. And I am pretty sure somebody out there can relate to what I'm saying to you. We're live on the air. We're live on the air. You're struggling with whatever it is you're going through. You're bored. Okay. You don't have a job. You might be sickly. You might be lonely. Whatever it is you're going through, the Lord knows all about it. And He will help you through it if you stay focused on Him and don't develop an attitude, because attitudes will get you nowhere at all. Nowhere. Drop the attitude. Drop it. Let it go. Let it go. Being used with the struggles that we are experiencing. Can't you see that's why it's so crucial for us to survive. If we keep our mind focused, we have to survive not only for ourselves but for others. Again, so we can tell our story. The more stories you tell, truthful, honest stories, not nothing you made up, your testimony. The more testimonies you share with others, the better you will uh, walk forward in your life. Does that mean you're not going to have any more struggles and stumbling blocks? No, that's not what it means. It means you're going to know how to walk lightly and carefully with some wisdom. We're going to think before we take a step once we've survived that mess. And each mess will get better and better and better in your mind because, like I said a few minutes ago, you'll now become stronger. I've also given an example of lifting weights. The more weights you lift, the stronger you become. The more weight you carry, the more crosses you bear. Does not mean the crosses will lessen, but you'll become a stronger person so you can handle it. That's why some of us have these challenges, because the Lord knows what we can handle. He knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows our strength. We think we are weak. We think we are weak. And unfortunately, as we are weakened, we are supposed to get stronger and not be bothered by all of the drama that's going on in our lives. If we keep that in mind. So let's move forward. How can we be used to help somebody? You can talk about it. What you don't know firsthand, you know what it is because you've experienced it. It will show in your voice, in your body language, as you're watching me right now. You see my body language, you hear my voice, you hear my tone, you can see my face, you see my choice of words. Yes, all of that. Whether you're being convincing or not, even your eyes will show whether you're telling the truth or not. A lot of people look at our eyes as they talk to us. So you can see my eyes here. A lot of us read people's eyes, and our eyes can tell a lot. A lot of people want to look in your eyes when you're telling them something. A lot of people. I think officers of the law, bless their hearts. I remember, I don't know how many years that was ago, um, one of my sons got in trouble, and the officer came to my house. I was just coming home from work. Oh, I guess about 6:30 in the evening, somewhere between 5 and 6. And the officer was looking, and he knocked on the door, and he said, "Do you have a son named such and such and such?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Do you know where he is?" And I said, "Well, he's not home." He was looking right in my eyes because, some of us parents will lie when the person is right there in the house. He was looking right in my eyes. And I said, "No, officer, I have no idea where he is. He's not at home." And so he said, "Well, it just so happens that I have him in the car." What they call that car? Their car, the policeman's car. And I said, "Oh." Then my eyes got big. And I said, "Oh." He said, "Yes, ma'am. He's in our car." And so we began to talk, and that, I'm not going to get into the whole spiel of that, but the point is, when they brought my son in, the officer was still looking in my face. And that facial expression, I'm here to tell you now, it changed when I saw that boy walking through that door. Because in my mind, and he could read my face, what are you doing out there for this officer to pick you up? So we went on into that and got into that. But the point is, folks, people can look in your eyes, and officers are known for that. They will look in your eyes and tell you whether you're telling the truth or not. So we need to be careful, even when we're trying to lie. And that's why a lot of people look down when they're talking and looking all over the other place and all up and down. Some of us can't tell a straight lie. So we got to look all around and every which way, and that's telling a tale right there. We're talking real life here. So that experience was just a wake-up call that I'm trying to share with you about what your eyes can tell. Whether you want it to tell the truth or not, your eyes will tell the story. And we all know the story about the eyes as far as the alcohol is concerned, but we're not going to go there. The eyes will tell your story. Amen. Amen. We move forward by saying, I don't know what the outcome of difficult circumstances will be, meaning we don't know what the outcome of these circumstances are going to be. We don't know what the outcome is. I just gave you the scenario about the police officer picking up my son, teenager out there being somewhere where he didn't have any business being. And that happens a lot, as we all know. We hear it every day on the news. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So let's picture this. Walking down, let's say we're somebody, we, you, me, whoever it is, walking down the street, heading to the store or something. We just walking, minding our own business. And we witness a crime. We see something that maybe we shouldn't have seen, or maybe we should have seen it. Who's to say? Okay, so what do? You make a 911 call. Okay. What else do you do? What else? We're talking live here. Please call in at 252-756-2008. I'm your host, Nada Manning, on this late night talk show. Let's talk real life. We're talking Awesome Radio 106.9 FM radio. What would you do if you saw something that you shouldn't have seen? Or should you have seen it? It depends. In the wrong place at the wrong time. Sometimes you're in the wrong place at the right time. Is there a thin line between being in the right place at the right time and being in the wrong place at the right time or the wrong time? It's a thin line between that. Okay, picture this. You're driving through an alley. That's the street, but it looks like an alley. It's an alley type street. You're driving now, you're not walking. Heading to the store or heading to visit someone or heading to some place that's positive, that's innocent. And you see someone stranded and hurt. They're not just out there, but they're stranded and they're hurt. What do? A 911 call again? Is that a just in the nick of time you were there? Perhaps you saved that person's life. Where am I going with all of this? We're in difficult situations. We're in difficult circumstances sometimes. How you behave and how you respond will determine the outcome for you as a person and the outcome of the other individuals. But this is real life here. Okay, we find ourselves in positions that are very difficult circumstances sometimes. Sometimes we can help it and sometimes we can't. Sometimes we don't have a clue. We just happen to be there. Now, next week, next month, next year, it's about you now. It's not someone else that you ran up on or walked up on, or you. Okay, you're the person. You're the one that needs some help. What happens now? Is 911 call all you need? Think about that. It depends. You're out there. So what I'm saying, folks, is you always going to put yourself where we should. We should put ourselves in the other person's position. Would you just want someone to call you if that was you out there? Or would you want them to make a phone call and stay with you while you until someone comes to help you? Or just make a phone call and walk away? Would you want someone to do you that way? See, the whole scenario always revolves back around to how do you want to be treated? How did you want someone to handle your emergency? Yes, 911 call is an excellent step for all three of these scenarios. But should that be the end of it? You just call 911 and that's it? I think it depends on the situation. Now, of course, if you're in a situation where there's gunfire flying, bullets flying all over the place, then no, you would not want to stand there. That's common sense. You get out of the way and make your call. But then that's common sense that you would do that. So it depends on the situation as to what you would do. We're talking real life here on Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. I welcome your comments or your phone calls to 252-756-2008. It's a live call-in. Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. We're on the air. Okay, now that we've given these scenarios, okay, we want you to know that during these times, these tough times, it's supposed to, and you notice how I'm saying this, these tough times are supposed to produce perseverance, produce character, produce hope. So you don't give up. If you hang in there and tough it out, that's what it's supposed to be, a win-win. Okay, so now the next question is, well, what do I do while I'm waiting for this toughen out to get finished? What am I doing in the meantime? That's a good question. What do you do while you're waiting for that light to get brighter and brighter at the end of that tunnel down there? You keep looking for it. You keep waiting. Where's that light? Okay, I see a little bit. So what do you do while you wait? Because you don't know how long you're going to have to wait. So what do you do while you're waiting? Glad you asked. I think a good thing to do while you're waiting is to focus on something positive, like start a hobby. Like I told you about the person in jail. You can make the best of a bad situation. It depends on how you handle it. While you're waiting, you can think about what you like doing. What would you do that would make you a better and a different person when you are released from that environment, whatever that environment is? Whether you're in jail or being punished for doing something you shouldn't do at home and all of that. What do you do while you're waiting in your room and you can't come out? Are you in there pouting? Are you in there crying? Or are you trying to think of what you can do when you get out that will help you to be a better person? What do you do? And some of the things I came up with, activities, that's if you're not punished or not locked up. You can, if you like to swim, you can start swimming. You can ride your bike. You can start walking. You can do some traveling. That's when you're not confined into a particular environment. You're going through, but you're not confined to being at home, or you're not imprisoned. You're free to go wherever you want to go, but you're still going through your valley. You're still going through your stuff. So what do you do while your mess is trying to get unmessed? To keep your mind focused on what's going to work for you when it's all said and done, when it's over. Okay, Now what am I going to do? Well, you already thought about what you're going to do during the time that you was going through. Like I said, you think about positive things. If you like to travel, do a little traveling. If you can't afford to travel, then take long walks or be out in the fresh air. Just go to the park or go someplace that's positive so you can think about something. You can in fresh air where you can think about some things without a whole lot of noise around you. Now, some people like to party. I'm not saying that partying with all that kind of noise is going to help clear your mind. I don't know if that's going to work or not. I dare to say it won't, because I don't know how many of you can think when there's a whole lot of noise and music going on around you. Every now and then is okay, but not on a regular. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying don't party. I'm saying what you want to do is to get someplace that's with solitude and peace where you can think. Um, Go down by the waterfront or something and just sit out there and just think. Or so for some of us that like to write, you can write. Okay. Some of us like to read, you can read. Some of us don't like to do either one of those things. Then just like I said, go for a walk, go ride your bike. Um, Sometimes you want to be by yourself or maybe have one person with you, but you don't need a whole bunch of folks to think, because the objective is to keep the noise down around you. Quiet solitude while you're still going through your mess. And when you come back home, you'll have a better, more refreshed mind, so that when the next day comes, you can find something else you like to do. Everybody have their own niche. But what you're supposed to do is think of something positive. Think of something positive. Um, Now, when it comes to the teens, I want to use this scenario about the bushes. I didn't want to leave without saying this part. I use the bushes as a scenario. Oh, we have 3 minutes to close, and I'm running out of time. And I think I might pick up on this next week, because this is very critical information right here. Because what we want to do is delight in the weakness. And when I just describe about what you're going to do during that time, you want to delight in your weakness. During your weakest moments is when you're going through. You want to delight in it, because if you have your mind cleared where you can think about some things without a whole lot of distractions, that's another key word. You don't want to be distracted. Avoid the distractions. So you get somewhere where you can have this peace and calmness. I like horseback riding. Okay? Ride a horse. Just stroll on through the park somewhere, through the fields or whatever, and just be out there in the air. Just thinking about some things, and praying too. That's a good time to talk to the Lord while you're out there. Next week, we're going to talk about less delight in weakness, which is another part of the three parts that I was mentioning to you earlier. And I'll go into the bushes. But I do definitely want to mention this survey again before we end the session. Again, I would like very much for you to tell us what you think about the show. So I'm asking you to do a survey. Your survey will be on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being poor and 5 being excellent. And then I want you to tell us what you think about the real life talk show. What subjects would you like me to talk about pertaining to real life? What would you like to see or hear different in future shows? I welcome your ideas. We're talking real life. I'm your host, Nada Manning. And at this point, I want to pray, and I want to give God the praise for this opportunity. Every week is an opportunity to uplift his name. So thank you, Lord, for it. I give you the praise each and every day, especially during these times, Lord, while I'm talking to the world about how good you are and how you want us to be and how you want us to survive all of these valleys and circumstances that we find ourselves in. So, Lord, I give you the praise. I thank you. You are a good God. And at this point, I want to say good night to everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the night. Be blessed. and know that God is good. I love you all, and I look forward to next week. Again, this is Nada Manning. I'm your host on Let's Talk Real Life Show. Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. Until then, you take care and be careful out there. And think about the survey. I look forward to hearing from you.